She could be smiling at you, laughing at your jokes, and still be completely checked out of the conversation. And here's the thing nobody tells you: her words will lie to you before her body ever will. You can train yourself to say the right things, to sound confident, to ask interesting questions, but you cannot train your shoulders. You cannot fake the direction your torso points when you're genuinely interested in something. The body is the oldest language on earth, and it has been speaking the truth long before people figured out how to be politely dishonest. So today, we're going to talk about one of the most overlooked signals in attraction and dating: shoulder orientation. Specifically, what it means when a woman's shoulders start pointing away from you, why it happens, what causes it, and most importantly, what you can do about it. Because if you've ever walked away from an interaction thinking it went well, only to never hear from her again, there's a chance her body was sending you signals you simply didn't know how to read. Let's start with the basic psychology here. Human beings are physically wired to orient their bodies toward things that interest them and away from things that don't. This isn't a conscious decision, it's a deeply embedded survival and social behavior that operates below the level of conscious thought. When you see something exciting, your whole torso turns toward it. Think about watching a car crash happen on the road or seeing your favorite food arrive at the table. You don't think about turning, you just turn. The same mechanism works in social interactions. When a woman is genuinely attracted to and engaged with someone, her body, particularly her shoulders and torso, will naturally angle toward that person. It's a biological signal of openness, investment, and interest. Now flip that around. When she starts losing interest, when she feels bored, or uncomfortable, or simply unattracted, her body begins the slow, silent retreat. The shoulders begin rotating away. The torso angles toward the exit. This is sometimes called the door frame signal by body language experts. Her body is essentially preparing to leave before her mouth has even decided to say goodbye. She might still be talking to you. She might still be smiling politely, but her shoulders are already halfway out the door. Think of it as her body being more honest than her manners. Here's where it gets really interesting psychologically. Shoulder orientation is considered one of the most reliable attraction signals precisely because it's so hard to fake consistently. Women, and people in general, can control their facial expressions with a decent amount of success. They can maintain eye contact on purpose. They can laugh at the right moments. But sustained, natural torso and shoulder orientation toward someone requires genuine emotional investment. You can force your face to smile, but you cannot force your whole body to lean into a conversation your brain has already labeled as boring or uncomfortable. Eventually, the body drifts. And that drift tells you everything. Now let's talk about how this actually plays out in real life. Because this isn't just theoretical. Picture a bar, you approach a woman, the conversation starts, well, there's initial energy. In the first few minutes, her shoulders are roughly parallel to yours. Maybe she's even angled slightly toward you. Good sign. Things are flowing. But then something shifts. Maybe you made a comment that missed the mark. Maybe you started talking too much about your job for the fifth straight minute. Look, we've all done it. And yes, she noticed. Maybe you asked a question, but then answered it yourself. Whatever the cause, you'll see it first in the shoulders. They begin a slow rotation away from you. Her feet might follow, her gaze might start drifting slightly to the side. The conversation might technically continue, but her body has already sent in its resignation letter. Or think about a date. You're sitting across from each other at a restaurant. Early in the evening, she's leaning forward, shoulders square to yours, fully present. But as the date goes on, if something goes wrong, you got too intense too fast, you were dismissive of something she said, you checked your phone more than once, which, by the way, is basically announcing that you are not fully present. Her posture changes. She leans back. The shoulders start angling slightly sideways. She crosses her arms. These aren't random nervous habits. These are the body's honest report card on how the interaction is going. And here's a subtle but critical point. The shoulder signal often shows up before she even consciously realizes she's losing interest. The emotional processing happens in the deeper, faster parts of the brain, and the body responds almost immediately. Her conscious mind might still be trying to give you a fair shot, but her body already filed the paperwork. This is why learning to read body language isn't about being manipulative. It's about being aware enough to course correct before the situation becomes unrecoverable. So, what actually causes the shoulders to turn away? Let's break down the most common culprits because understanding the cause is the only path to the solution. The first and most powerful cause is a lack of genuine emotional engagement. When conversations stay on the surface, safe topics, polite exchanges, nothing that creates a real emotional response, her nervous system essentially goes on standby. Boredom is not neutral in attraction. Boredom is an active threat to connection, and boredom shows up first in the body. The second major cause is pressure. When a man comes across as too eager, too intense, too outcome dependent, when she can feel that he needs the interaction to go well more than he's actually enjoying it, her body registers that as social pressure. And social pressure triggers a retreat response. This is the irony of neediness in dating. The harder you try to make someone stay interested through sheer force of wanting them to be, the more their body physically moves away from you. It's like trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you grip, the faster it escapes. The third cause is disrespect, even subtle disrespect. This one is enormous and massively underappreciated. If you interrupted her, dismissed her opinion, tried to one-up her story, or made a comment that, even unintentionally, made her feel judged or unimportant, her body will respond. Women are acutely sensitive to emotional safety in social interactions. It's not a weakness, it's actually an incredibly sophisticated social detection system that's been refined over thousands of years. When that safety is compromised, the body turns away. Not always dramatically, sometimes just by a few degrees. But those few degrees are screaming something important. The fourth cause, and this one is kind of funny in a painfully relatable way, is simply physical monotony. If you haven't moved during the conversation, if the two of you have been standing in the exact same positions for 30 minutes, the body gets restless. Movement creates energy. Stagnation kills it. This is why good conversationalists instinctively shift positions, lead transitions between locations, suggest walking somewhere new. It keeps the interaction feeling dynamic and alive. If you've ever noticed a great date feeling like it lasted 5 minutes even though you were together for 3 hours, this is partially why. There was movement, there was variety, there was physical novelty keeping the nervous system engaged. Now, the most important part, what do you actually do when you notice the shoulders turning away? Because reading the signal is only half the value here. The other half is knowing how to respond without making it worse. First and most critically, do not panic and do not try harder. This is the trap almost everyone falls into. You notice her pulling back, and your instinct is to fill the silence, to talk more, to make a joke, to try to recover the energy through sheer volume of effort. This almost always accelerates the withdrawal. Her body was already signaling retreat, and now you've added pressure on top of it. Instead, do the counterintuitive thing. Pull back yourself, create a little space. Let there be a beat of silence, become slightly less available in that moment. This breaks the pressure dynamic and often causes her body to naturally reorient back toward you, because now you're not chasing what's moving away. Second, introduce something emotionally stimulating. Ask a question that requires her to share a real opinion or a genuine feeling. Not, what do you do for work? But something more like, what's the one thing you're actually passionate about that most people in your life don't take seriously? Watch how the body responds to a question like that. When the brain gets genuinely engaged by something that matters emotionally, the body follows. The shoulders come back. The lean returns. You brought her attention back, not by being louder, but by being more interesting. Third, change the physical environment. If you're standing, suggest sitting. If you're sitting, suggest moving to another spot. This is a powerful and underrated technique because it physically resets the interaction. New location, new energy. Her body is moving in a new direction, toward you, because you led the transition. Movement and novelty are natural re-engagers. Fourth, Validate something she said earlier in the conversation that you may have glossed over. Sometimes the shoulders turned away because she felt unheard. Going back, even briefly, to acknowledge something she mentioned, something she cared about, something she shared with vulnerability, can be remarkably powerful. It says, I was listening. You matter. And that, more than almost any technique or line or strategy, is what makes a body turn back toward you. There's a deeper truth underneath all of this that's worth sitting with. The shoulders don't lie because attraction itself is not a decision. You cannot convince someone's body to be interested. You can only create the conditions in which genuine interest naturally emerges. That means emotional presence. That means genuine curiosity about who she is. That means being secure enough in yourself that you're not performing for her approval, but genuinely enjoying the interaction regardless of outcome. Ironically, that energy, that groundedness, is exactly what makes shoulders turn towards you in the first place. The best conversationalists, the most attractive people in social situations, are not the ones running the best strategies. They're the ones who make other people feel genuinely seen and genuinely energized. And when you make someone feel that way, their body tells the truth about it. The shoulders orient toward you, the torso opens up, the lean begins. Because the body cannot hide real engagement, any more than it can hide real disinterest. So the next time you're in an interaction with a woman, stop monitoring her words so closely and start paying attention to her shoulders. They will tell you where you actually stand long before she ever does. And if they start drifting away, now you know. It's not the end of the road. It's a signal. A signal that something shifted and something in the interaction needs to change. The question is whether you're aware enough to catch it and grounded enough to respond well. Like the video and subscribe to Couple Code. And here's something to think about. If someone who genuinely cared about you started slowly pulling away, would you notice the signals before it was too late?